So, you booked yourself a photo shoot. That's so exciting. I'm really happy for you. It's going to be such a fun time. But now you want to know how to prepare for it, right? That's why you're here. Cool. I can cover a few things with you. It's okay if you didn't book me as the photographer. That's so fine. I'm just putting this out there so that hopefully you can get the most out of your photo shoot. You know, a lot of time, money, effort, soul, everything goes into this work, and you want to get the most out of it. So, all right, I'm going to give you the main few tips that I would tell my clients or do in preparation for a shoot. This is probably most going to apply to people who are doing a shoot because, they just want to, or if it's like an empowerment thing, or they've booked it to represent a period of time in their life where they've gone through a transformation, and especially when it comes to body image things that you're getting over, and so it's like a celebration of self. This is probably most applicable to those kinds of shoots. However, you could still probably take some of these bits if you're doing just a branding shoot or a family shoot, whatever. There are still things that you might have not thought about that I'm about to tell you. So you're welcome to stay regardless, but I'm going to aim most of this at people who are doing boudoir, semi-nude, full nude, celebrating themselves in a personal shoot, essentially. So first things first, if you are a morning person and your photographer is cool with it, book a sunrise session. It's such a beautiful time of day. It's so worth the effort of getting up and getting ready before the crack of dawn because the light is beautiful, especially where we are on the east coast of Australia, but just in general. It's such a special time of day and a lot of people miss it. So there are just pieces of that time of day that you don't get at any other time of the day. However, if you are not a morning person, please don't book a sunrise shoot. Book a sunset shoot. You will be able to tell that you are not a morning person. Like, quite possibly. I'm not saying, like, this is a generalization from what I've seen with the people I've worked with. If they're not morning people, you can tell that they're weary and tired and there's a plane going overhead. Probably not on their game the way that they would be at sunset. So if it's not sunrise, I would definitely recommend sunset. But talk to your photographer about like time and what they can do for you on that front. But either of those times I can highly recommend. And if not those, and you have the chance and opportunity to, and they're willing to go with you, my gosh, go out in the rain. It is so much fun and it's such a sweet experience. And people don't go out in the rain and just like frolic in the rain. It's usually like an inconvenience and you're like, oh, my stuff's getting wet. But going out to do a photo shoot in the rain where you're purposely going out there, it's just, you can't describe it. It's so much fun. It's so freeing. The next thing that I want to bring up is outfit planning. So again, a conversation to have with your photographer based on how long your session is and if they have limits on what you can and can't bring. But we're just going to say for an hour session, that's like my most popular shoot is a personal session that goes for an hour. And I would usually suggest that they obviously wear something there. They bring an outfit that most accurately represents who they are as a person. Like if they have a favorite dress or something that makes them feel like really confident or like it's super flattering. It's open to interpretation, and I usually have a conversation with them about it, or what they think will be a good plan, what to bring. Then the second thing is usually the same sort of thing, a set of intimates, lingerie, underwear that is flattering and makes them feel good, makes them feel confident, all of those things, because that's pretty important that you feel that way. And then I usually encourage them to go nude at the end if they feel like it, which like 90% of people will go nude at the end, which is awesome. So yeah, that's normally what you can fit into an hour, depending on how the photographer works and how you work and how you're flowing. So in total, that's kind of 4 outfits. Like the one they wear there, the second outfit, underwear, nude. Doing a different kind of shoot, you would probably have different things. The one thing to note with that, like if you're doing a family shoot or if you're doing a branding shoot and you bring multiple outfits, make sure they complement each other. Like they don't have to match, but as long as you're sort of sticking with the same sort of color palette and themes and you're not like bringing something in that just does not go with the other ones. Because if you're posting the photos on social media, especially for branding and stuff, you want it to look cohesive. You want it to make sense. You want it to tell a story. And if you've got patterns, I mean, unless that is exactly the story you're trying to tell, but for the most part, you want it to kind of all fit in together as like a little bundle. So yeah, worth taking some time to make sure that your outfits complement each other. Another thing to consider before a shoot is props. I, for an hour session, will typically go and get flowers to accompany the session, especially if I know what outfits they're bringing. I tend to get stems instead of getting posies or bouquets because they look kind of weddingish, and that's generally not what we're going for. But in the situation where I can't and I just have to get it, in one piece, then I usually pull stems out and we just use stems. It's worth considering a prop even for the beginning when you're nervous and you don't know what to do with your hands, you don't know what to do with yourself, because that can be a bit of a distraction and help you get comfortable and like in the zone when you're shooting. Just make sure it's not something that like doesn't fit at all, because that would just be a complete waste of time. If I could offer one piece of advice for everyone who's doing a shoot, especially if it's for the first time and you don't know how it's going to feel, there's one thing. Better if you can do it more than once, but if you only get it in once and you only spend half an hour or even 10 minutes, it's just better than nothing. What I would suggest you do is carve out some time before your shoot, a week before, or if you want to do this more often so that when the time comes you're super comfortable, like you spread it out in the lead up to your session. Have a shower, make sure the kids are asleep if you have them. Get yourself a glass of wine or a tea or something to calm your system down. Make yourself like a chocolate and fruit platter. That's what I would do. That's what I have done in the past. Shower, light some candles or put fairy lights on. Make sure it's really dim. But I want you to set yourself up in front of a mirror and put some music on. I can link a couple of my playlists in the description so that you can use them if you don't have playlists. They're on Spotify, so if you don't have Spotify, then, well, you could just find the songs, I guess, or make a playlist up of your own songs that you're familiar with. It's pretty important to know what the songs are, otherwise it can be a bit distracting, like you don't know what's coming next. I don't usually listen to playlists on random for that reason in this situation, because it's good to know, you sort of end up in a little bit of a trance, so it's good to know what's coming next, you know how to move. So what you're going to do is you're going to park yourself up in front of the mirror with your wine, with the fairy lights, the candles on, dark, no one else in the room. Make sure there's no partners watching. Not right now, maybe in the future, but you're going to put your sexy playlist on and start moving and watching yourself. And it can be a bit like daunting at first, but no one's watching you, so it doesn't matter if you do something that looks stupid because it's only you. It's only you, and this is a process of getting comfortable with moving your body. So start with the first song. You might just find that you need to move around and feel like for any tension, especially like in your neck and shoulders, and then down your back, your lower back, even in your arms. Like, life is stressful at the moment, right? So you might find that the first song or two, you're just like working through where you can feel tension and sensitivities in your body. And then as the songs progress, I want you to start leaning into how it feels to get out of your head and into your body. So try not to think too much about what you're doing. I just want you to listen to the music and start to move. It helps if you try to use like flowing motions. So like at any stage, if you start getting distracted, try to think of like the ocean waves and just moving that way. And you're watching yourself in the mirror. So if you notice a pose that like you might not have seen yourself in that pose before because you've never moved this way before, but you see like an angle of your face from here or something, and you're like, wow, that looks cool. Like, take a mental note that moving that way could make for a ripper photo. And then like if you're on your knees, like you might not have seen yourself on your knees moving before, and then it's quite possible that you'll end up in a pose again that you would never have expected, but you see it and you're like, wow, that looks so cool. And if you need to, you could just take a photo of that. Like, I know it's a bit awkward, but awkwardly take a photo in the mirror, which I've done before a number of times, so that when I get to the shoot, I can remember, oh yeah, I did that pose. So like, I'm going to set myself up to like get in that position. It goes a long way. It really does. And then you start to get used to how it feels to move that way. So when you're in front of the camera and you're trying to loosen up and you're trying to get comfortable, then like you've already done it. You've already moved that way before. You've watched yourself. You know how it feels to like drop out of your head and into your body. So it's not a really unfamiliar process to you. Obviously, this is going to be pretty subjective to who the photographer is, how much you trust them. That's a really important factor with who you choose as a photographer. You want to feel super comfortable and at ease and peaceful in their presence. And you want to make sure that you don't feel any judgment from them. Like, you can just be yourself completely and they're just there with you, witnessing you, and then like, you know, obviously documenting the whole process. Because it is like photographer and muse, let's say, I don't want to use the word client, we'll say muse. It is like a dance, yeah? Like the photographer brings their skills, equipment, knowledge, artistic flair, and then the muse is bringing their soul and their color and their, you know, who they are. And so it's a dance between the two, and it needs to be a good fit. It's like employing an artist to make art of yourself, but it goes a long way if you actually mesh really well. So worth just getting a feel of who they are as a person, because that could be a big deal. You know, if you find that you don't actually see eye to eye on a lot of things, or even just like general communication, if it's not easy, then that'll probably come out in the photos. Most things come out in the photos, at least as far as I'm concerned, they do. I can see them. Okay, on the day, it is worth taking a speaker, if you've got one, and putting some music on, if that is going to be the best thing to get you into the zone that you need to be in to get the most out of your photos. Because like I said, that's what we're going for here. You want to get the most out of what you're doing. If not, maybe the photographer has a speaker that they can bring. Some people prefer to just listen to the sounds of nature, which is also really special, and you can just like tune into that. But other people find it's easier to focus when they sort of know what's coming, which, like I said, is good when you have a playlist. One other preparation thing that maybe I should mention, Pinterest can be so great. It can also be not great in a good way. So I find I will go on Pinterest to plan for a session, find some photos, and like I'm not going for poses as such. I'm just looking for photos that give me like a theme or an emotion that's sort of relevant to the shoot. But often I actually can't find what I'm looking for, which is great, because then I'm like, well, this doesn't really exist yet, and that's what we're trying to create, so that's awesome. But it's worth going and having a look. You might see a few things that kind of inspire you and that you might want to like somehow weave or integrate into your session as well. So don't discount Pinterest, and also don't put too higher expectations. You might find that what you see in your mind's eye doesn't exist yet, which is so cool. That's the best, when you go on there and you're like trying to find something and it doesn't exist. So good. Okay, so let's just say you've done the shoot and you're waiting for your photos. Maybe they've sent you a couple of sneak peeks. I think something that's really important to mention is that doing some of these shoots, even just normal shoots, but especially ones where you get nude, it can be really confronting at first. And the reason I bring this up is most people have only ever seen themselves in a selfie from their phone or in a mirror reflection where they're only ever seeing it from one angle. So to go from only ever really seeing yourself in those ways to having a photographer move around and take various different angles of you that you've never really seen before, because like even if you're out and friends take photos of you, they're just sort of, they're not photographers. They don't have the same skills or the same eye. Or a professional shoot, it works differently. So be prepared that you might have some feelings when you see yourself. You might go, I've never seen myself in that way before, and that's a bit confronting, or I didn't know I looked like that from that perspective. Sometimes it can take a little bit to come to terms with. Sometimes it happens and you're like, wow, I look so fucking cool from that angle. And then other times it can be like, holy hell, I was not expecting that. It's all welcome and valid. And if you need some support when you're looking through your photos, ask for it. I'm sure there would be friends who would absolutely love to look through your photos with you and even just debrief about the session and about how you're feeling. You might even find the photographer will do it with you if you ask them. I certainly would if someone was like, I want to do this with you. And it has happened before where people are like, I want to look at my photos with you. And then at least you're getting some feedback. You're not just like in your own head about it all. But go gently when your gallery gets delivered, because it can be a lot. I feel like the last thing that I need to say is just like have fun with it. It's so much fun, and afterwards you'll probably be like, oh wow, that wasn't anywhere near as scary as I thought it was going to be, or I feel so good now, I've got the bug, I'm going to do so many photo shoots. And trust me, that is a thing. You can definitely get the bug and want to do a heap of photo shoots. It's so special. I'm so excited for you. I hope you have the best time. I hope some of this helps you with like planning and preparing for your shoot. If it does, let me know. If there's anything specific that I missed that you want to know about, just leave a comment and I'll read them and I'll figure out how else I can approach some of this stuff with you, especially if it's a different kind of shoot. Let me know. If you do a photo shoot, tag me on Instagram. If you post a photo, let me know what your photos look like after you do all this stuff, because I would love to see them. All right, take it easy, guys. We'll see you next time.